Hello everyone, welcome to Economics Lab and Economics Optional CSE 2020 Paper 1 discussion series. So if you are new to this channel, please subscribe this channel and like and comment on all the videos so that I can know what exactly and where exactly the economics optional students are facing the problem. So let's start and move on to our next question. Question number 2C subpart 1. What makes technical progress endogenous? Do you think that technology is a non-rival good? So to answer this question, we should be clear about the meaning of technical progress endogeneity here. So we should be knowing what the word endogenous stands for and the non-rival good stands for. So to make these words more clear for your understanding, I am first explaining these words and then we will move on to our answer. So endogenous word means something which is determined inside the model. For example, CO2. CO2 is determined inside the Earth's atmosphere. It's not coming outside Earth's atmosphere. Earth's atmosphere के अंदर ही CO2 decide होता है and that is decided by or determined by mode of production. The more consumption level we would be having and the more fossil fuel usage we will be having, the more CO2 would be produced. Similarly, I have also taken example of cancer cells. Cancer cells are not something which comes outside our body. It develops inside the person's body. So on what cancer cells depends? It basically depends upon lifestyle of the person, what is his eating habits, what is his sleeping pattern, how he tackles anxiety or stress. All these lifestyle problem determines the way our cells develops and reproduce, and that determines cancer cells. So basically lifestyle is the factor which endogenize the cancer cell. So cancer cell depends upon lifestyle and CO2 production depends upon mode of production. It's just an example to be more clear with this word. Another word is technology endogeneity. So what I have to say about technology is that God and nature and chance does not decide the level of technology in a society or an economy. But in fact, humans are their own gods in the context of technological development. How? Let us see an example. Vasco da Gama reached Calicut in search for supernormal profits, and at the end of his voyage he earned 100 times of his voyage expenditure. So what motivated Vasco da Gama? The search for new markets, the search for profits. So basically technology is not gifted to us by God, nature, or it is not by chance, but it is due to intentional human efforts that we search for the new ideas and search for the new technologies which can provide a supernormal profit to us. So that is technology is endogenous upon, basically in one line I can say, search for supernormal profits, search for new ideas. For example, take the case of Elon Musk. Elon Musk recently announced that $100 million for carbon capture. He would be gifting the person who would develop this idea. So basically, why a person would search for a new idea? It's the incentive, the $100 million. Again, we will be using this example to explain the concept of non-rival. Now, see, non-rival word means consumption by one does not decrease consumption of the other. For example, WhatsApp and Archimedes principle, pen drives. Take the example of WhatsApp first. So when you WhatsApp and when you use this technology for your advantage in sharing notes, in having video calls, so this technology is still available to other person as well, and they can evenly benefit from this. So therefore your consumption of WhatsApp is not decreasing their consumption. Similarly, when Archimedes principle was first discovered, it was used in making one boat, but it doesn't mean that it can be used in making other boats. So all the other boats or many boats were developed and made using Archimedes principle. Similarly, pen drives. See how pen drives change the production level or the technology level of human society. So much of data can be stored in just a very small plastic piece. So now take this example of Elon Musk. So if a person comes up with carbon capture and he develops $100 million, so definitely the benefit of this idea would be evenly or equally beneficial for all the human society, the entire human society. But it may happen that initially Elon Musk preserve this technology or hide this technology or does not transfer this technology to other people and patented this technology and earn supernormal profits. So basically Elon Musk is also doing for supernormal profit, and the person who is in search for this idea is doing for supernormal profit. So with this understanding, now we can go back to our answer part. So search for ideas for generating supernormal profit is the key, is the factor which endogenizes technical progress. Again, look at this point, growing stock of population. Now, if an educated population is there and it is growing, then there would be higher chances, higher possibility that someone would come up with another idea. So more the population, more would be the chances of searching for new ideas. But there is one caveat here, that population should be educated and must be involved in research activities, must be searching for new ideas, must be having incentive for supernormal profits. Let's see the third point, proportion of researchers in total population and research productivity. All these factors make technological progress endogenous. However, the major force behind is the constant search for new ideas for earning supernormal profit. So basically this incentive of supernormal profit is the key idea here. Further, people prefer investing in research capital rather than physical capital, means plant and machinery. When the returns to ideas research is better promoted and protected. So at the more fundamental level, institutional setup, the ecosystem or the environment, economy and society is providing for research activity of an economy and society also endogenously determines level of research and thus level of technological progress. For example, see the case of Renaissance in Europe. It was Renaissance, the new ideas which led to the industrial revolution later on. So this is what I mean to say search for new ideas. It is the non-rival nature of ideas which leads to increasing returns to scale in Cobb-Douglas type production function. With non-rivalry in ideas, growth in income per person is tied to growth in total stock of ideas and not to growth in ideas per person. So what do you understand by this statement? This statement means that non-rival nature of ideas, because the idea of capturing the carbon dioxide is non-rival. it would reduce to global warming and would entire all persons, all countries across the world, entire human society would be its beneficiary. Therefore, it would have increasing returns. Let us see an example. Now suppose you have this production function y equals to a technology constant, k alpha and L 1 minus alpha. Now see what happens when I double the inputs but not the ideas. So when I would be doubling the inputs, the output would double. For example, A would be like stock of ideas. A stands for technology, and technology means the stock of ideas. Now double the K and double the L. Therefore, this leads to 2A and K alpha L 1 minus alpha. So here you can see that Cobb-Douglas production function, which we are using here, it represents well-behaved indifference production curves, and it represents constant returns to scale CRS but diminishing returns to a particular factor. So when I doubled capital and labor, the output was doubled. But when we consider ideas and when we double the stock of ideas, the output would be more than doubled. See how this happens? So when I double the A and double the K, double the L, you can see 2 would come out of it and 2 is already there, so my output would be 4A K L. So my output would be 4Y. So you can see when I double the stock of ideas in combination with the doubling of other inputs, it was more than double that output was achieved. So therefore, ideas leads to increasing returns to scale. You can again see this in this bullet point. So this dollar is a constant here. So when I am multiplying A and other inputs, labor and capital included in X, with this term, this constant, which is I am assuming more than 1, then the output would be greater than the output when the stock of ideas remains same and the other inputs are increased with this constant. So this we saw in a particular case when we used constant as 2. This production function is characterized by IRS because of non-rivalry of ideas, technological progress. There is constant returns to object but increasing returns to objects and ideas taken together. So when we take everything else together, then there is a IRS. So let us see an example. Once fire was discovered, it was used by all early men. Once Persian wheel for irrigation was invented, it was used by all without diminishing its return to anyone. Once internet was invented, it is being used all without depleting its return for anyone. Implication. So what's the implication of this? Unlike solo There is no steady state per capita income, but it is ever growing and no convergence in sight. How can we say that there is no convergence? See, take the example of USA today. Its economy is 23 trillion, while China's economy is 12 trillion and India's economy is around 3 trillion. So maybe India's economy is growing with the rate of 6-7% and US is growing with 2%, but the base of growth of US is 23 trillion. Remember that. So even when India's growth rate is higher, US is still growing by far from India. So this is an implication that unlike Solow model in Romer, which is the model of endogenous growth, there is no convergence in sight, but there is ever increasing growth rate, or there is per capita growth is ever growing. So per capita growth is not converging. In Solow, steady state occurs because of diminishing returns to capital. So why in Solow steady state occurs? It occurs because our production curve, our output curve is having diminishing slope, and that is because of diminishing returns to capital, reproducible capital. So if the population has reached a certain level, and then I mean to say that if the labor input is limited, what Romer model says is labor input can also be made reproducible. So in Solow, diminishing return is there to capital because capital is increasing to a per person. So if the labor which is employed on capital is constant and capital is increasing, then we know that there would be diminishing returns to capital. So because of that, we reaches steady state. But what Romer says is that labor input can also be made reproducible. Means we do not have to produce labor by increasing population, but we can augment the labor with the technology, and then technology which Solow considered exogenous has been endogenized by Romer model, and we saw on what basis the technology is endogenous. It is endogenous due to the hunger for supernormal profits and search for new ideas. So if we augment technology, human capital, so that it also keep growing with capital, so that there is no steady state and per capita income keeps growing. So I used references here. You can read more about David Romer, Paul Romer model in David Romer Macroeconomics, and Charles Jones Introduction to Growth Theories. So Romer model is quite beautiful example of mathematics. What is important for exam point of view is its economic intuitions. So let me take you to my revision notes. So I am assuming that you have some ideas about Harrod-Domer growth model. So this is for the benefit or for the help of those who are appearing this year to write the mains, or maybe appearing. So I am revising it to help you guys so that it is beneficial to you. So I am quickly revising it, and I am assuming that you have some idea. Okay, so all these things started from due to Harrod instability problem. It was Harrod's instability problem that led to the development of Solow model. So let's see what Harrod instability problem is. So in Harrod model, we saw that growth rate of output is equal to growth rate of investment, which is equals to saving upon warranted capital output ratio. So by warranted we means the capital output ratio which investors desire. So if the capital output ratio would be according to the desired levels of investor, they would keep investing and they would not let the aggregate demand fall, and there would be stable and ever growing GDP growth. So, but there is one more problem. The problem is that Harrod instability arises when there is also the labor growth and the efficiency of labor growth is there. So N stands for labor growth. So if we also want that full employment level remains and there is no involuntary unemployment, then this investment saving upon capital output ratio should also be equals to population growth plus the technical progress which is there in the efficiency of labor. Here also the technology has been considered exogenous by Harrod, unlike Romer, and but like Solow. So in this model, what's the problem and what's the knife edge problem is that this has been considered exogenous. Similarly, population growth is also not in anyone's hand, so it is also exogenously determined. So now we have assumed y equals to minimum alpha k comma beta l into e. This is the production function which has been assumed by Harrod. So according to this production function, if you have to employ full labor, you must be increasing the capital according to the labor. Otherwise there would be mismatch. If the labor would be more, then there would be unemployment. If the capital would be more, there would be inventories, positive inventories, which would be disincentivizing the investors. So capital and labor in this production function are not substitutable. So they are not substitutable. So this model is quite rigid. It does not provide these variables to adjust according to one another. So if n is something, alpha, see this lambda is something, and s has some value and v has some value, none of these value depends one another. So they all are exogenous. So it is rare possibility. It is very rare possibility that they all are set according to one another so that equality is maintained. So therefore this equality is very risky and very unstable. Anyone change in any one of these can destabilize the entire economy in a perpetuate state. Therefore this is called knife edge problem. So Harrod instability was overcome by Solow. Solow overcame knife edge problem by allowing substitutability. Now see, this has been still considered exogenous by Solow. This technical progress thing. And saving was also considered exogenous. However, it is not. It depends upon many interest rate factors which RBI determines. But he considered these exogenous. But what Solow did, Solow changed this relation. Now what he did, he allowed the substitution of labor and capital and used for that Cobb-Douglas production function. There is no such rigidity that 1:1 relation exists between labor and capital. They can be substitutable, and this allowed this warranted capital output ratio to be a variable. So therefore Solow overcame knife edge problem by allowing substitutability between V, that is capital output ratio, and labor by using Cobb-Douglas production function. Further issue of warranted velocity does not emerge in Solow because of classical assumption that in long run demand and supply will adjust. to full employment equilibrium, and there will be no aggregate demand problem. So there was also aggregate demand problem, and to meet that aggregate demand in Harrod, this has to rise continuously, this investment thing, and the increase of investment part was depending upon the desired level of capital output ratio of investors. But now when we allow price adjustment and wages and other things flexible in classical case, or in better you say neoclassicals, that problem was overcame. Now let's shift to solo model, but you will see some other problems emerged in solo model. So here we are considering Cobb-Douglas production function y equals to a k alpha l l's power 1 minus alpha. The summation of these alpha and 1 minus alpha is 1, so you can appreciate that why it's Cobb-Douglas. It is having constant returns to scale, but again diminishing returns to capital and labor individually. So to simplify this model, you know that we divide by L, so that per capita, because we are interested in measuring the per capita growth rate in this model. So therefore I am dividing it and getting this outcome. So y equals to a upon small k power alpha. So now this power of alpha is important here, and we cannot ignore this, because it is this power alpha which is less than 1 which makes the shape of our production function with a diminishing slope. So therefore in this model the only thing I am assuming constant is A. So technological progress again, which was our this lambda in Harrod, again it has been considered exogenous in the form of A. So now you can, I'm not explaining this model, you can see this diagram and can revise. It would take much longer time, but I drew this diagram so you can revise it from this video itself. So let us move forward. In solo, growth is endogenous upon population. What you have to understand is economic intuition. So understand this. In solo, growth is endogenous upon population. Remember, growth, not per capita growth, is endogenous upon population, while steady state is endogenous upon saving rate. So you can see this green line curve, this is the savings curve. So this intersection, N stands for population growth and this thing stands for depreciation, while G is technology. G is again considered in this diagram exogenous. You can also call it A. A is the numerical form here. So per capita is depending upon saving rate, so it is endogenous upon saving rate, but no, not per capita. Steady state is endogenous upon saving rate, but per capita growth in solo was endogenous upon depending upon change in A. So per capita growth in solo was endogenous depending upon change in A. Really sorry, I'm really sorry, exogenous, it's the exogenous. So solo considered it exogenous depending upon change in A, but now it is Romer who endogenized A and hence per capita growth rate. So A was endogenized by Romer. So now change in A depends upon some productivity factors and the labor involved in research, population involved in research upon the total population. So this population share and the productivity. This endogenized our change in stock of ideas. So we will study this thing in detail in other questions, some other question. There are two more questions from the Romer model in 2020 exam. So we will discuss in better detail these things. But for the time being, for answering this question, this much discussion is sufficient. So we will meet in another video. Till then, guys, please like and comment and tell me which other areas of economics optional where you are facing the problem. I'll make videos on that. So please like and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. It is your subscription and your commenting and liking which would be a motivating factor for me to help or to make economics optional people's journey easier. So bye bye and take care.